Welcome, friends and future colleagues, to a new and reinvented Law Guess. You have come to the most interesting legal platform for talk shows and more. We give you candid talks with people who you look up to. So, I'm your host for today, Muskan Naran. I'm a second year law student from DY Patil University. We have with us today Advocate Shivam Channa. He is a senior associate at Unity Legal Law Firm. He specializes in arbitration and is also involved in civil litigation. He did his LLB from Punjabi University, and after practicing in Delhi High Court and other courts, he decided to go for his LLM in International Dispute Resolution from King's College in London. So I am really happy to have you on the show, sir. Thank you for coming up on a Sunday.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your invitation.
So, sir, I usually start with the question that why did you decide to choose law?
This has got a funny story actually. I'm basically from Firozpur, Punjab. So where we reside, like every other house is of an advocate.
Mm-hmm.
So during my school life, I used to notice, yeah, these guys are, in uniform, and it looked all fascinating. Ki, they all have clients all together lined up, and they're coming, going, so many files. I just used to notice all that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I decided that this is good. I also want a board outside my house.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I finally decided. Probably in eighth or ninth class, I told my parents that I'll go for law. That is it. So
Wow.
no discussion. So yes,
Right.
that's how I decided for that.
So it was always a plan that you wanted to become a lawyer or a person who goes in court and fights the cases. There is no other option.
No other option. I loved that uniform. I still love that uniform.
Right.
So yes.
So how did you find your studies when you were in doing your LLB from Punjab University?
Basically, Punjabi University is like an affiliation to my college. My college was in Faridkot, Baba Farid Law College.
Hmm.
So it was a 40 kilometers drive from my place.
Okay.
So college, you know how it is, a 5 years law course, and I was not a very bright kind of a student there, but yes, I was doing really well. I was noticed with whatever I did.
Hmm.
I had good relation with my almost every professor, and 5 years went really smooth. We enjoyed a lot. We partied a lot, and that driving thing from my place to college, like 40 kilometers up and down, so 80 kilometers daily.
Right.
So that was actually fun.
Hmm.
So we used to carpool, and five of us used to travel daily. So
Hmm.
it was actually fun. We never skipped college as such. कि college तो जाना है
Right.
no matter what.
Wow.
College हम जा रहे हैं. So yeah, it was all good, really good. I miss
Right.
that time. Obviously, every professional, I think, will miss his or her student life.
Hmm. So, were there any internships that you did while you were in LLB?
Very few, very few. Uh, some were in Firozpur only, in a district court. And then I got an opportunity in Jaipur with one of the very good firms called Chiramrit Law Chambers. So that was an LLP basically. Chiramrit Legal LLP. Yeah. So 1 month over there. And then in my final year, I came here in Delhi for an internship with one of the central government standing councils, who later I joined as well as a start. So yeah, 3 or 4 internships in 5 years. That's it.
Okay.
Not really a big list, which I, these days notice in every student's CV that they've got a big list. Like in every semester, they've done
Right,
one
exactly.
or two internships. Yeah,
So there are 10 semesters,
that
but
was
people
not the
have
case.
done, sorry, yes. So there are 10 semesters, people have done 15 internships. I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed. Yeah, exactly. How do they manage? And I mean, if that's really a good learning experience for them, or they are just doing it for the sake of mentioning it in the CV, I have no idea. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's good if they are doing it.
Even I believe so that 1 month internships don't actually do anything for you. You don't learn much in 1 month. Even if you get the certificate out of it, it's not gonna matter much if you're not actually spending time in the office for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in 1 month, as a senior now who kind of assist interns, I mean, I personally don't rely completely on them. So we kind of hesitate giving, something concrete
Hmm.
to something major to interns. So I was telling that as a senior now, like we don't give something major to interns because we'll have to double check, triple check it. So in 1 month, you can't build that trust in an intern. You can't
Hmm.
really judge his or her capability. I mean, I to completely don't judge an intern because he or she is just a student here. I mean, if we expect them to, work really hard and draft an SLP or something like that and draft counter affidavits or something, and if they fail to do, we should really not judge them. They have a long way to go. So probably I think interns should mostly come, analyze, observe, hear to what their seniors are talking about, and grasp as much they can instead of wanting to be actively involved.
Right. Hmm.
That's how I feel about it. Because
Right.
once you hear your seniors, you analyze what they're doing, you read as much as you can. As a
Hmm.
student, I miss that. I actually realized the very fact that I should have been more into reading.
Hmm.
Reading, like in my time, probably bar and bench and live law and things like that were not really famous.
Right.
So they have come up like 5 to 6 years back, and
Hmm.
in 2015 only I graduated. So now I keep on reading those stuff, and students should read that.
Hmm.
I mean, instead of practical knowledge, they should focus on reading more and more so that they may build up their vocabulary. They may stay updated with the law, with the news, with the current events, everything. So that I find is more important for them as a student. And uske baad to they have their full lives to go in the courts and argue and
Hmm.
stuff like that.
Right. So, whenever one selects an internship, what do we have to think about when we are in the internship? Like, what should we get from the internship whenever we are going in?
As I said that uh, in that office where you are interning, you should probably try to observe more how your seniors are working.
Mhm.
I mean, there are some interns like who get offended, if they are not being actively involved, they feel left out. That so for that, I mean, they should somewhere down the line understand that they are still students right now, and if 4 or 5 seniors are working on something, they can't completely rely on them for anything. And if they do, if they ask him or her to draft something, I mean, I know one of my seniors who usually give drafting, but till the time that interns gets back to him with the draft, he has
Mhm.
already drafted it and mailed it to the client or has already submitted it.
Right.
So he's not relying on intern. So
Mhm.
he just says that okay, I'll check, and then he gives a feedback, which I think is a good way.
Right.
So
Right.
so intern would think that he was involved as well, but he didn't
Hmm.
know that sir has already done that and submitted that,
Oh.
and then sir will find mistakes or will tell him how
Mhm.
he can improve. So
Right.
this is one way.
Mhm.
And another, I think as a student, probably you should realize what field are you working on. Though it is very initial stage, I mean, you cannot really decide on it. But if you supposedly start having interest in IPR or in dispute resolution as a student, if you get that realization, so I think
Mhm.
your focus should be on that field only. If you
Right.
think human rights or anything, so you should
Mhm.
probably join that firm or that office, that chambers who are working on it, on
Right.
that particular subject.
Mhm.
We had an intern recently only, and he had a science background as well. So uh, we told him that, and he said that I am very much interested in IPR. So the very first day, me and my senior, we were just talking to him, and then we realized that why are you in this firm then? Like we are not doing any IPR.
Mhm.
My senior who is one of the partners, he also told him that we are not doing any IPR. If you're actually interested and you've got a science background as well and you're interested in patents, you're a good combination. Then
Right.
you should go for that firm or that firm or that firm.
Mm-hmm.
You should start applying there.
Mm-hmm.
The very first day he got that realization in our firm that yes, this is absolutely right. So
Right.
guiding a student is also one thing, and he straight away in the evening he said that probably I should not waste my time here.
Right.
And as you have said, the sir was very happy. So I said, yes, why to waste your 1 month over here? Go and apply somewhere else.
Right.
Try in IPR firms. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have got that realization, you should work on it.
Right.
Not just for the sake of getting a Unity Legal certificate on your CV, and then thinking back down the line after 1 or 2 years that that 1 month I actually learned nothing.
Right.
That's of no use. And most of the students do this. Most of
Right.
the students get this on their CV, but I'm sure they will realize that what actually they learned. I mean, I fail to understand.
Right, sir. So, sir, actually, when you talk about internships and everything, just like you said, feedback is really important when it comes to, because we are not really taught drafting while in college. So it's not really part of the course. So as you said, I can totally relate. I have already done a lot of internships, and thinking about it, actually, this happens at the draft. You don't know drafting, so you learn it while you're doing it, and that
Yeah.
causes a lot of delay. So, sir, so because you selected international dispute resolution, so you why did you decide that subject itself, and is it for your LLM?
I decided it very late. Like till I graduated, I had no idea if arbitration would be or is a major thing going on in India right now. Then I joined Delhi High Court, and there I started watching, arbitration matters. Section 11 was being filed, and then it went on, and I kind of find it very interesting. And then in Unity Legal, they were doing some domestic arbitration. So one day I was discussing it with my one of the partners only, who himself is has an LLM from States, and then he like before that he graduated from UK.
Okay.
So we were discussing, and then we decided that if you really want to go for a master's, then you should go for this field. And I started researching on it more, studying about it. Then that international dispute is also one of the things that India is growing in that particular field actually. Like Singapore has exhausted arbitration, London has exhausted arbitration, Paris has done it, Hong Kong has done it. India is still very much new in this field.
Right.
We are still growing. Our law commission is coming up with something or the other, like on a daily basis related to arbitration specifically. And then there are amendments taking place like in every year or a couple of years now. So we are very much growing in that field. And therefore, I saw a lot of Indian students in that particular field, be it in my university, be it in UCL or Queen Mary. So they were
Right.
all engaged in arbitration.
Right. So so do you think it is an emergent trend, or it actually exists in India right now, like it has a foundation in India if you go ahead for a career in that?
It is very much emerging now.
Right.
And probably this was the right time to get yourself involved in this field. I think
Right.
after
Mm-hmm.
10 years from now, I'll also feel that probably we have also exhausted it enough of arbitration we have done, like in
Right.
London or in Hong Kong, in Singapore. They have done it. Now I'm not sure if they are coming up with anything new. Like it's all going on, commercial arbitrations are going on, and
Mm-hmm.
India is still yet to make itself a hub, which
Right.
I am sure our government is trying their level best now
Mm-hmm. Right.
with the
So, sir, you
recent
actually,
2019 amendment.
mhm. So, sir, you did your LLB, then you practiced, and then you started your LLM. So it was not originally the plan to do an LLM. So why did you think that there was a need for you to do that?
To be honest, for myself, I think I required some personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything was so the same thing was going on in life. I was doing the same matters,
Mm-hmm.
like appearing in the same courts,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking that even if I switch to some other firm or to some other office, what new will I be doing? Like there's nothing much. I mean, it's not that there's nothing left to learn. I mean, there'll be a lot of learning opportunities, but I wanted something new in my life personally. So that's how I decided. And also, I always wanted to go for masters after having some experience. I never wanted to go directly after graduating. That thing was always in my mind. So after 2 years of my experience, I applied, and like when I went, so I had total of 3 years of experience, which I always advise students these days, that you should probably work for at least 2 years and then go for your masters, because then you have knowledge of your own system. At least you know how courts do work, you know how
Right.
things are in India. So
Hmm.
that is when you can actually have a debate, or you can make a comparison with, other countries.
Right. Right.
Because if you are not aware of how things actually are, like as an intern, as a student, you are aware of just partially of some things, but when you actually do that yourself,
Hmm.
get to know a lot of other 100 things.
Right.
So
Right.
that's how from India, maximum students go directly after graduating,
Right.
as a
Okay.
matter of
Hmm.
fact. And from Europe, I had so many friends, I have so many friends now, who had 5 years of experience, 8 years of experience, already one masters, and then they're coming again for a masters.
Wow.
So they try to grab as much as experience they can.
Right. Hmm.
It's not that you should directly keep on studying. And now I know students who are still not going to in to coach or in the profession. They have now come back and started preparing for a PhD. So I am not sure when are they going to start actually
Right.
to
Exactly.
get that knowledge.
Right.
Though they
So
call
actually,
themselves a lawyer, but they are probably still a student life. The student
exactly,
life is
sir.
still going on.
I feel like it's very comfortable for somebody to be part of an institution, because then you feel comfort there. Because once you start studying, you are a part of an institution, you feel like a part of that. But actually going out and working on your own, it's really difficult to do that.
Exactly.
Right. So,
Exactly.
sir, any kind of this experience that you got in the 2 years, I was just curious about your opinion on it. That first you set up like a practice. You did your LLB. You set up a practice. You make your name in the people start knowing you, and in these 2 years. So, what if your practice picks up in these 2 years, and then you are leaving it, and then you are doing your LLM, and then you're coming back in the field again? So, isn't that a little tricky when you're
It
deciding
is.
to
It
do?
is actually. It is tricky, and you probably get a hard time in getting back into the field, uh, because people, start actually. You had become a part of a team or an office, or you were going to High Court daily, and people were, as you said, recognizing you, and then you straight away vanish
Right.
for next 1.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, that is tricky, that is tough.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think after that you have your whole life ahead,
Mm-hmm.
where you can again establish yourself,
Right.
and you can again get a job, you can again get your clients, you can again make friends. I mean, those colleagues who were actually in touch with you, they stayed with me, like they stayed in touch with me throughout 1.5 years as well.
Right.
So those who want to stay in touch, they will anyway stay in touch, no matter where you are, which corner of the world you are.
Right.
So, but yeah, after coming back, all you have to do is just be positive that things will start getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Just stay put. I mean, you have had a wonderful year. You have studied hard, you have partied hard, you have enjoyed your life, you have
Right.
done it all, seen it all. You have traveled around. So now is the time to work hard,
Right.
and obviously people will realize your worth.
Mm-hmm.
It adds up to your personality, to your confidence, to
Mm-hmm.
your education, obviously,
Right.
to your knowledge, to your personal level, personal growth. It all adds up,
Right.
and people will eventually realize that. I am sure, probably after coming back, like immediately I may not get what I want because of my LLM, but
Mm-hmm.
5 years down the line, it will be a big deal that yes, in that particular year, I had an LLM from King's College London. That will
Right.
make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, immediately one should not expect anything fruitful enough, but just stay put and positive. That's what
Right.
I have learned.
So your journey with leaving your practice and then coming back and then starting it again, how hard was it to actually start it again, and what difficulties did you face?
Well, I came back in January, and then actually I came back before as well, but then I again went in January. So meanwhile, these 2 3 months while I was in India, so I was sometimes in Delhi and sometimes in my hometown, Firozpur, because I had already missed a lot of time at home as well. So I was trying
Okay.
to uh, come here and meet everyone as well, and then going back home again for a few days. Like I was not seriously working, but yes, I was looking.
Mm-hmm.
And to get an interview scheduled is very tough. I mean, even if you have a master's,
Right,
because now it's not that only you are the one having a master's.
right, right.
Yeah. So there are other students coming from UK, coming from States, coming from probably better universities. Like yes, King's College London is a big name, but
Hmm.
then there is Oxford as well, and then there is Cambridge as well, and then there's Stanford or Ivy Leagues.
Right.
So yeah, there are a lot of students coming in that same year.
Mm-hmm.
So getting an interview scheduled is tough. But then somehow things do worked in my favor.
Mm-hmm.
I rejoined Unity Legal.
Right. Okay.
I had some good opportunities there in my particular field only, because
Mm-hmm.
probably they have picked up their arbitration practice.
Mm-hmm.
So it is good for me now as well.
Right.
But yes, I do realize that it is tough, but then all you have to do is stay positive and keep trying, because
Right.
some of my friends are still looking for a job, which
Oh.
is a very hard fact to
Mm-hmm.
accept. uh, Even after, like, they all came back in January. Like our session ends in September, October there, but then convocation takes place in January and our visas are till January. So we all my friends at least decided that we'll again go for a couple of weeks there in January. So till January, no one was serious,
Mm-hmm.
and we
Right.
knew that after that we'll be working continuously. But then the sad part is March May lockdown happened.
Right.
That was obviously we were not aware of
Mm-hmm.
something. So I think this is one of the reasons that people are still struggling to find a decent job,
Right.
because since March, like uh, everything has become very uncertain,
Right.
and
Exactly.
everybody is struggling in their
Mm-hmm.
own respective fields. But otherwise, also, I know from the previous batches, like when COVID was nowhere around,
Mm-hmm.
then also they did some struggle. It's not that you come back and then all good firms are waiting for you, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's not the case. Plus, I think in India there's this term called jugaad as well, so which is very much like in existence
Right.
until unless you have a very strong reference or a good reference
Mm-hmm.
to get into a firm. I mean, for internships also people do approach you for a reference, and
Right.
for a job you can well imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not all your talent based thing going on, and it is everywhere. Like it's not just that India, it's going on in India. It's
Right.
everywhere. So
Right.
that much you have to handle it all.
Right.
Sad truth.
So, sir, LLM, LLM is something that gives like a springboard to your CV. So is it necessary for a student that you would recommend that they should do an LLM?
No, no, not necessarily. I mean, uh, it all depends how you think about yourself. As I said, I personally wanted some growth, some change. Not everyone may think about the that the same way.
Right.
And otherwise, in litigation, as a litigating lawyer, LLM is nowhere required. Like it's not a
Right.
compulsion.
Right. Mm-hmm.
A high court or a Supreme Court judge doesn't give a damn if you have an LLM. You know,
Right.
that is all fine. So it's all about your personal growth. Probably a client will notice that yes, you have an LLM from a good university, or probably a corporate firm will notice where you are going as a corporate lawyer, or some companies where you may land up as a in-house counsel.
Mm-hmm.
So they may notice. So it depends which field are you going for. Like
Right.
what do you have in your mind? In litigation, why I did now arbitration, because arbitration and litigation are like involved together.
Right.
Arbitration is not
Mm.
completely something separate. No,
Right.
had I done it in competition law or company law or business law, which is altogether a different field for corporate lawyers, or
Mm-hmm.
or is considered good for in-house lawyers.
Right.
So that would have been a waste of money, being a litigating lawyer. So you have to figure it out all, you know. Like this is my personal view. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
views can differ, but yeah, I think students are the best judge. So probably they should know. And plus, while going out, I'm sure that one thing, which I always advise is your budget.
Right.
Not that I have done it, then the other students should feel that they also have to do it and
Right.
spend that much amount of money. So no, I mean, just check with yourself and see if you can land up with a scholarship, and if
Mm-hmm.
not a scholarship, then if you can actually afford it, and how much budget do you have,
Right.
and how are you going to survive there. Like I did complete maths about it. Like I was very much focused on the budget, that if I am asking this much amount from my parents,
Right.
I have to survive in that only.
Mm-hmm.
And this feeling comes if you have worked by your own. Let me
Right.
tell you, if you are just a student, you have not worked hard, you have not seen how difficult it is to earn,
Right.
then probably if your parents give you that much amount of money and then you land up in London, so there you'll just spend it in 6 months and then you'll be done with it. Ki ab baki ke 6 months, how do I survive?
Right.
So in London also I had a complete budget, that yes, this much is my monthly budget and I have to survive in that. And that was
Mm.
easy and good enough for me. Like I'm not saying that I starved or I had to, give up on some
Right.
good times.
Did you work part-time
So
also?
it was all figured out. Yes, I did. And that was for my trip to Europe. Okay.
Okay. Right.
So that budget, I knew always that I'll earn and I'll go for my Europe trips.
Right.
So I did a couple of part-time jobs. One was as a cashier at Primark. That's a very famous
Right. I
store
remember.
in
I
Oxford.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah. So one was as a legal assistant with one of the real estate companies.
Okay.
So they hired me for drafting and filing replies and all that.
Mm.
So I used to draft a lot for them. So
Mhm.
these two jobs I did, and then I managed to earn enough to travel
Right.
to my favorite destinations in
UK
Europe.
even pays well.
So that's how you have to. Sorry.
UK pays well.
Yeah. I mean, if in pounds you're traveling to Europe, that seems very reasonable.
Right. Mm.
Yeah. So it was
So,
all good. That's why I'm saying, you have to realize your own things, that you have to establish your own worth by
mm,
working hard. It's not that if you're going for an LLM, then you should, and I had to study as well. And London is one of the cities where you have thousand other distractions.
right.
So how Indians are, like, either we ghume, udhar bhi ghume, we
Right.
should see this, we should go there, that bar, that club, that party. But you have to study as well. Like you
Right.
just have 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
and in that you have a lot of reading, pending readings, and a lot of written assignments, written submissions, deadlines, everything. So you have to manage it all out.
Right. So, why did you select King's College for your LLM? And how's the program there?
King's College, I think I I was actually confused between Queen Mary University and King's.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see the course-wise ranking, so Queen Mary has a better ranking for arbitration. That is the course-wise ranking I'm talking about. And then if you see an overall ranking, then King's is far better. So the other thing I was confused with was that whether I should go for a course ranking now, or overall university ranking as a whole. Course ranking, when I say for law, King's is very good,
Right.
but specifically for arbitration, if you Google, you will always see Queen Mary University of London,
Right.
that they have established themselves in arbitration specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So but then that was very confusing for me, but I researched a lot and then I discussed it with a few people who have been to such universities. So that's how I came up with a conclusion that, brand actually matters a lot if you're spending so much. And in the long run, obviously they are doing very well in law. And most of my professors were also highly intellectual, highly learned, and, famous worldwide in the field
Wow.
of arbitration.
Mhm.
And so do Queen Mary had also similar professors who were doing really well, very big names. So then that's how I decided that why should I miss out on the brand name either.
Right.
So plus the campus life. This I had already received a lot of reviews about the campus life, which is very important.
Right.
King's had a very good campus, very, like, I would say, one of the most awesome campuses in London, in
Mhm.
central London.
Right.
So the campus life I fully enjoyed there. And Queen Mary or UCL or even LSE, I mean, they all are really good universities, but when it comes to campus lives, I mean, they are pretty dull.
Right.
That's what I know and I have seen as well. So yeah, King's it is.
Right. So you lived yourself in central London, or you used to take the tube there from the parts which are
No,
cheaper?
no, from my place, yeah, from my place, it was a 15 to 20 minutes ride to
Mhm.
King's. So yeah, we had those student passes
Mhm. Right.
for the tube, and for the buses as well. It worked on every transportation.
Mhm.
So monthly pass, we used to recharge it, Oyster card, student Oyster card basically.
Right.
So yeah, I had that, and we used to charge it for like, I think, £90 per month.
Mhm.
That's 9,000 per month if
Right.
you consider that way. So, but yeah, it was all easy. I mean, I was really stressed out as any other student.
Mhm.
Though I was like mature enough, if considered, if compared with other students who were
Mhm.
going directly. But then still I was stressed out because London, I'd never been to London, and going there by, I know that I have to do it all by my own. Like,
Mhm.
there's no help involved. I knew no one over there. Like, I had my cousin, but not in London. He stays in Portsmouth, like close to London.
Right.
So yeah, I was stressed out, but then it all went very smooth. I mean,
Mhm.
I encourage students that, you should probably enjoy that time preparing for it instead of getting freaked out for anything.
Right.
Just go and have fun. uh, I met some really good people. I mean, there was no problem at all, and everybody, I found at least everybody very helpful. I mean, students do have different experiences, but for me it was all good.
Right. So, your we were talking about student life and how it is like that. So, what did you do to chill there? What was your
Well, we
pastime?
made uh, pastime was when I was alone. So I had this bench close to my university where I used to go and sit and
Mhm.
just chill by my own. If that was the best me time I had over there,
Right.
and I had a view of London Eye from that
Wow.
particular bench. So
Mhm.
I used to just sit there. And apart from that, we made friends in Delhi itself before going for our masters, because the consultancy through which I applied,
Mhm.
they got us in touch with all the students going for masters, not specifically LLM,
Mhm.
but any field.
Mhm.
So we all made WhatsApp groups here only, and then
Mhm.
we met a couple of times or maybe more in Delhi. We partied here as well, and then we already
Okay.
had a group
Okay.
that, yes, we all are from Kings, so we all are going there. And like, accommodations were obviously separate. Again, a lot depends on your budget, that
Right.
where
Mhm.
are you going to land up there.
Mhm.
So everybody had different accommodations. So but then I think from the very we didn't meet for first 2 days, but then I think from third day we started meeting. Let's go to Trafalgar Square, let's go to London Eye or something.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's how we started chilling, and then there were a lot of Bollywood nights involved throughout our
Okay. Mhm.
1 year. So we used to get emails that there's a Bollywood night, and then we used to plan accordingly. That,
Mhm.
okay, we'll dance on some Punjabi songs, and then there were different parties like uh, postgraduate law society of my university. They used to conduct different number of events, and like there's no limit to chill or enjoy. I mean,
Right.
you have a lot of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. I'm not sure if I've explored London fully. You can't,
Right.
because
You
as a
can't.
student
Exactly.
probably you have a lot of other things to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've missed out on a lot because of my schedule sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and because of sometimes because of early classes, or because of my part-time job also,
Mm-hmm.
which was on the weekends. Like on Saturday I had a 9 a.m. shift at Primark, so my Friday night was screwed every time. And
Right.
Friday night, everyone over there used to enjoy like hell. I mean,
Right.
Fridays were the best.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I used to manage somehow that okay, I'll leave around 2 instead of 4, because I
Mm-hmm.
have to get up early and then go for my job. So yeah, I mean that's how I used to chill. And we had a park close to my accommodation. So my friends from my accommodation, they were from Pakistan and Bangladesh,
Mm-hmm.
and of course India. So we all desis used to visit that park together and
Right.
enjoy. So yeah, that's how I used to chill. And plus, I used to cook as well over there. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something new which I learned. And
Right.
in Delhi, I never did that before. And now I sometimes do, but then before going to London, so that was not a thing for me. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Right.
that
So
was again a good experience.
it sounds like one. Actually, I think everybody's gonna go on Google and search LLM in London after this, because actually London is.
I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn, like people are, students are really confused, and they have a lot of questions. And I always end up guiding them really well and in a very detailed reply. Why? Because I got a couple of such students who had already been there,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm really good friends with them
Okay.
because they guided me so well that
Mm-hmm.
everything seemed so sorted already.
Right.
That is, once you land, it's like from the time you land and then you go to your accommodation. Like I had one of my friends, like now she's a friend, but Ali, she had already stayed in my accommodation, which I
Mm-hmm.
booked. So
Okay.
that was the best thing. That okay, I'm booking that only. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me more. So
Mm-hmm.
I had roughly, every minute detail of that particular area, which
Wow.
she had guided me. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how now I tend to guide other students.
Right.
And whenever I receive a message on LinkedIn, so I'm actually very excited to share all that my experience. And they will just ask a one-liner question, and I'll send a couple of paras and
Wow.
reply, this is it.
Right.
And I'm like, वो उसको चाहे चाहिए भी नहीं थी इतनी information, but I have given it all.
Right.
कि ये, yeah.
Great.
So
I,
yeah, that's how.
even London is a place which is so, it has a lot of, because in India you see that there are different communities like Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, and all that. But in London, there are people from every place in the whole wide world.
Like
You get
I have not traveled much, but then I think London is one of the most diverse cities probably
right,
I've ever witnessed.
right, and there is so much to do
You
for
will
everybody.
find everyone there. Yeah. Everybody is there. Like I can't recall how many students were there from how many countries. Like I met, like
Right.
from everywhere, every small or big country, from Europe or from American side or from Asia, from
Mhm.
every corner of the world. And
Right.
people are getting jobs as well. People are settling down there. They're
Mhm.
doing well. Like yes, we do hear cases of discrimination or other things, but
Right.
then I personally did not witness any such thing. Be
Mhm.
it in tube, be it in bus, be it in any store or something where I went. Like everybody I found was very friendly and
Right.
helpful.
Yeah, I believe there are two parts of London. One is the one where which is very vibrant, very classy, and everybody is like sorted there. They don't actually discriminate. But there is a part of London which is on the a little shadier side, which is the old London, and I think that part is where people are really racist because they are thinking that people are coming from outside and they're trying to influence the culture. But London itself doesn't have any culture. London is a combination of all cultures that there are.
Exactly. And they celebrate every festival at Trafalgar Square of every religion.
Right.
Like everyone gets permission for that from the mayor of London who handles all this. And as London is like divided into zones.
Mhm.
So one thing is that the more far you go to, zone 5 or 6, the
Right.
more unsafe it gets. And yes, those kind of things probably take place over there,
Right.
to in those zones which
Mm-hmm.
are, very far from the main central London. And because it's cheap, so I think those who can't afford that lavish life in central London, those people are staying over there, and then
Mm-hmm.
they come for work all the way from zone 6 or 7 to central
Right.
London, which which
Right.
which is which might take almost a couple of hours, even
Right.
by tube or
Mm-hmm.
trains, because they have to change and all.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, probably those might have such mentality. But yes, in central London, I didn't, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
experienced anything as such.
Right. So also one thing I remember that you said that you are supposed to set your budget and then go. If you are able to afford it, then only you should go. My father was telling me this thing that because Indian students there, some of the Indian students who went there are not able to afford the how high the cost in UK is. So usually what they do, they go to college, they spend their hours there, then they do their part-time work, they do that, and then because they don't have any place to stay, because they're not able to get an accommodation, they take the pass, they travel in the bus like from whatever stops, and they sleep in that period of time. So that period of time that they're traveling in the bus, that is their sleeping time, because they don't have any place to live. So that is why they travel and sleep, which is
So
I
that's
think,
very unfortunate,
of
actually.
course.
I mean, then why London? I mean, if you knew this thing already, that you'll not be able to afford, and if you're doing a master's over there, I don't know about graduation thing, but if you're doing masters,
Mm-hmm.
probably you don't even get time for a part-time job. Like, you have to manage yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that easy that you can finish your university and then just go and work and then come back and do all the stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and manage your studies and your groceries and your cooking and your cleaning, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So during masters it's tough, and if you are so bad with the budget that you can't afford an accommodation,
Mm-hmm.
probably, then I won't suggest. I mean, that's not the life which probably you deserve. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
why to go, like, why London then?
Right.
Probably you can go to some other cities in UK,
Mm-hmm.
any city outside London,
Mm-hmm.
be it Manchester, Birmingham, Warwick, Oxford, Cambridge. I mean, the cost of living is
Mm-hmm.
straight away 40 to 50% lesser
Right.
as compared to London.
Mm-hmm.
So either you should go to those cities where you
Mm-hmm.
can actually afford your standards of living,
Mm-hmm.
but otherwise, I won't recommend. I mean, I have seen people, like, there are a lot of homeless people in London, and they are lying on the streets,
Mm-hmm.
even when it's like -2 or -3
Right.
in the night. They are sleeping over there, so that is very unfortunate. And they are so nice to talk to. If you get into an conversation with any one of those,
Mm-hmm.
so they'll talk to you very humbly, very nicely,
Mm-hmm.
and probably they'll end up telling you stories of, like, how did they
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know get so down in life,
Right.
like what went wrong exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
they'll keep telling you, but otherwise they are all nice. I remember close to my accommodation, there was this big Tesco store where I used to go, probably almost every day or on alternate days, to get anything. It was open from 6 a.m. to 12 in the midnight, so just
Mm-hmm.
12 to 6 it was closed. So there, one of the this homeless guys used to sit just outside that Tesco,
Mm-hmm.
and every time I used to enter or exit, he used to say hi, hello, bye, how are
Wow.
you today? All good, all good.
Mm-hmm.
So he sat there with a smile always,
Mm-hmm. Wow.
like, probably he's begging. Obviously, everyone knows that he's homeless and he needs food and he needs money, but
Mm-hmm.
still he just sat there and he was so humble to everyone. And that's how I know that people used to actually sit down with him and talk to him for hours,
Mm-hmm.
because he was so involved with everybody. Like, he remembered my face. I actually never stopped and started talking to him, but he knew me. I for surely know this fact that he knew me, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew him. And for once he was not there, and I was actually worried कि भाई कहाँ गए, क्यों
Wow.
नहीं आ जाए.
Mm-hmm.
So So probably he must have gone to some other city or to some place. But then yeah, every time he was there. I remember this. So yeah, he was nice, but it is all very unfortunate to see. I mean, if you can't afford that city, so
Mhm.
that is not the place that you deserve. I mean, you deserve better. You
Mhm.
deserve dignity.
Mhm.
Uh, not in the wrong way. I'm saying that you don't deserve. You deserve humanity. You deserve dignity. I mean, if that place cannot give you what you are worth of, then you should not go
Right.
there. So
Mhm.
go to some other cities
Mhm.
and then probably manage to build your worth that way that you can survive in such a city as well.
Mhm. It always isn't good to struggle because people think that people glorify struggle as a period that, after this I'm going to do great things. But even that period, you have to maintain some kind of dignity and integrity for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on this, whenever such kind of discussion is going on, I always tell that dialogue from Dear Zindagi movie,
Mhm.
in which Alia Bhatt, asks Shah Rukh that if there's a one way is very difficult to choose and
Mhm.
one is very easy way, but
Mhm.
then results are the same. But
Mhm.
the same way, if we'll choose the difficult one, we'll realize that we have worked really hard and then achieved this. And
Right.
Shahrukh just says that if there is a simpler way
Why
to
not do?
lead to that particular destination, then why not?
Right.
Like if I knew I had to do law, my sister did non-medical in her plus one plus two, I did commerce. Like why to get in that pressure of doing non-medical? And when you know eventually when you're going for law,
Hmm.
I mean, why should I tell people that, see, I can do non-medical, I can do science and maths, everything. I struggled hard, I studied hard, but then I chose law only.
Right.
So why to do that?
Right.
So if you have a direction or a way out which is easy, go for it. Don't
Hmm.
think that you have to struggle to achieve it. No.
Right.
I mean, struggling is something no one likes,
Hmm.
no one feel blessed about.
Hmm.
Like yes, we do hear stories of struggles, but every struggle can be different.
Hmm.
I
Right.
mean, if I say that I traveled 40 kilometers up and down to my college,
Hmm.
that was kind of a struggle with me.
Hmm.
Now there are students who could not afford a car for that and they used to travel by bus.
Hmm.
That is a different struggle for them.
Right. But if you
Like
yourself
they'll
try
be
to,
saying
but if so, you yourself try to put yourself through that struggle of traveling in the bus, that is not fair to you.
exactly
Mm.
that I'll not be reaching college happily. I'll feel frustrated. I'll be sweaty. I'll be like, no, yeah, when I have a car, why am I coming by bus?
Right.
This is a simple thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's not that I am achieving any less or they are achieving more.
Right.
We are on the same page now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I am giving them any less respect or something.
Right.
It was
Exactly.
their struggle which they did, and this was my struggle which I did.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it was a struggle to travel 80 kilometers a
It
day.
is.
So I can say that yes, I used to travel 80 kilometers a day just to study law. Then
Right.
you should probably find easy ways. I mean, life is not all about struggling and going through hardships.
Right.
But yes, one should always fear God, I think, and do all the good deeds, good karmas,
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't have to face a lot of hardships in life. And even if you do, and plus, I also believe that if that guy was going from a bus, that was because God knew, or that destiny or karma knew that he can handle it.
Right.
If you have that struggle in your life, probably just think the other way, that you have been given this because you can handle this.
Right.
So that makes you even more strong.
Right. If you have a problem, that
If
means you have the ability to solve it.
exactly.
Mm.
So they should probably realize this instead of crying it out, that if you are given some hard times, that is because you can face it
Mm-hmm.
for surely.
Right.
And if I am given jitna bhi hard time, whatever hard time, which is not a hard time as per your opinion, but probably I am good enough for that much only. If I'm given more,
Mm.
so I might not be able to survive it all.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how it is.
Right.
quite
So the
serious topics.
right. It actually, sir, if anybody is planning after watching this to go to London, they should be very sure that they want to go there and they have the resources to.
Yeah.
So I really, because
Yes, yes,
even,
definitely.
so sir, what do you enjoy about arbitration?
Arbitration now, for now, it's all pretty much, because of COVID, I've not gained much of experience since the time I've joined. Like I joined
Mm,
in July only,
mm,
after the lockdown. So for now, it's pretty much low.
mm,
Uh, but yeah, I'm hoping to get myself involved
mm,
more by end of this year. So
right,
what I enjoy the most is that uh, what I actually miss about the fact is that uniform is not compulsory, like just the formals can do.
right.
So I miss that black and white thing. But apart from that, what I do enjoy is the different locations
Mm-hmm.
where arbitrations take place, because that gives you a very fresh feel. You are not going to the same high court every day seeing same faces. you know you visit a new venue altogether, a new
Right.
building, new staff, everything is new. So that I think is the best part. I personally like it a lot, that
Mm,
okay, new office will witness new thing and new experience that will be.
mm,
Plus I think again, you get very personal with the retired judges as well. You get to talk to them, which obviously in courts you can't get in touch with them that easily.
mm,
So knowing from their experiences, sometimes on a lunch table or before the arbitration or after the arbitration, you just get to interact with them, no, as a
mm,
lawyers.
mm,
So they may end up telling you or giving you some very good advice and life lessons.
right,
So that is another thing which I appreciate about this whole arbitration concept, because
right.
in courts you cannot really interact with the judges and know about their lives,
Mm.
but here you can.
Have you seen anybody in India who is majorly involved in arbitration? Because I have seen people who take arbitration as part of their litigation part or something like that. They have major areas of expertise, and then a little part of it is arbitration.
Yeah, I mean, I do know some of them who are just doing arbitration and they're doing really
Mm.
well.
Right.
And basically they didn't start just with arbitration, they
Mm.
started with getting involved in everything, and eventually they became so much a part of arbitration that now they have no time of any other thing.
Right.
So considering the IPR lawyers as well, there are so many big law firms.
Mm.
If you go and ask them for a civil suit or something, a recovery suit, they'll not take it. That
Mm.
we don't have any time. We are so much involved in IPR matters,
Mm.
different kind of IPR matters. So that's how I know some people who are just doing arbitration now, because they did well obviously, and that's how they came in focus, and they are now getting arbitration work, a lot of that. So yes, and that's good also. I mean, if you are getting to earn good enough from one particular field, then I see no point in getting yourself involved in all different fields of law,
Mm.
because in India I feel it is all very complicated as well.
Mm.
You
Right.
can't actually uh, be a master of any particular thing, or a master of all, though you can never be. No, not
Right.
even not even the judges are. So if you are doing well in one of the particular fields, so I think you should focus on that. And
Mm.
obviously, if you like it, you
Right.
should feel happy about it. Like
Mm.
in arbitration, what I like the most is that it keeps you involved in some kind of litigation as well. There's a
Mm.
cross examination, there's evidence, the things are uh, connected to all that stuff you do in the court.
Okay. Mm.
So you feel as a lawyer
Mm.
like you're doing arbitration, and you get that feeling of being a lawyer as well. You argue the
Right.
same way. So yeah, it involves you in both the fields.
Right. So, sir, since we are reaching the end of the show, so I would like to ask you what lies ahead for you.
There's a lot of hard work which I have to do for getting London and the good time spent over there, because that is still in the mind.
Mm.
So I think I have to come out of that dreamy thing now. Now is the reality. and I have to work hard and make myself worthy enough so that people may, not only know me that yes, I have a master's from King's College London, but also that I have established myself by working hard and being a first generation lawyer. I've made my own name. So that is all my focus, and no breaks now. Not at all.
Right.
No breaks at all in the profession, for me at least. I
Right.
am not going anywhere now. I am here and I am probably here to stay.
Right. Awesome, sir. Good to hear. So, thank you so much for joining on the show, sir. It was really exciting talking to you. I know everybody has gotten a lot of knowledge out of this. So, thank you everybody for joining, and hope you stay in touch.
Thank you so much, Muskan. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I also had a really good time. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.